on the way to help out my cousin's mom. She's moving to Vegas, so she needs work on her RDX. Got to get the quicker picker upper real quick and get some Starbucks.
Welcome to Starbucks. What can I get started for you?
Good morning. I'll have a venti iced green tea latte with light ice and 8 scoops of matcha.
Sure.
And that'll be it. There we go. Dark green, just how I like it. Let's head out. Heading to Chula Vista to go pick up the car. And we're here, picking up the 2011 RDX, Acura RDX. So resetting the light on this Acura RDX is pretty simple. You look for the oil life. You hold this down for like over 5 seconds. Then you hit this button down here. Hit select reset. Then you hit the button again. 100%. Good to go. All right, we're back at the pad. It's their garage. Just have to play some musical cars real quick and we'll get started. All right, 2011 Acura RDX. So anyway, let's get started. So Auntie needs her oil changed and front brake pads changed out before she moves out to Las Vegas. She has a little bit of corrosion on her battery terminals. I'm gonna have to clean that off. I'm gonna have to tell her maybe before she leaves, go ahead and just change out the battery so she doesn't have to worry about it for a while. I just hope my jack doesn't fail me because it's starting to leak. That's already a sign right there. I had to return my old jack to Costco, but they don't have any other jacks. So I had 2 jacks, so this is one of them, but now I'm left to just this one. All right, let's drain the oil. And then turn the compressor on. And while that's happening, we'll head up for breakfast. Hopefully there's breakfast upstairs. Hopefully. All right, let's just loosen this oil filter. Alrighty, let's fill up the compressor and then we'll head upstairs to see if we could get some breakfast. What's up, Mamba? Mama came out here to greet me. What's going on? Where you going? What's for breakfast, girl? Oh, they already ate? Where's my food? Nowhere. Who, Mamba? You crazy. Man, forgot my Starbucks in the car. That ain't right. Okay, where were we? Oh yeah, the oil change. Oil change, then the brake pads. Okay. So on the cap it says use mobile 1 only. You don't have to use mobile 1. Actually, yeah, it says or equivalent. So you can use castor oil as long as you're using the right viscosity, which just calls for 5W30. In this case, we're actually using mobile 1, high mileage 5W30, fully synthetic motor oil. Making sure no double gasket, since it is an aftermarket filter that was in here. That's what usually happens in the aftermarkets. Nothing wrong with them, I just see them leak every now and then, but other than that, you could use aftermarket. Doesn't need to be Honda OEM filter. All right, let's fill her up. Got my brand new handy dandy unused bath towel. Just kidding. Just gonna let that kick it there for a second. Gonna go ahead and start removing the wheels to start on the brake pad replacement. Oh yeah, pretty thin. First things first, gotta match up the brake pads, make sure we got the right parts. We went by the VIN, so it should be right, but you never know. Just gotta make sure before you start taking everything apart. All right, here are the Honda Acura brake pads. Let's grab one of them. Looks close, so we looking good. Just gotta make sure. Old one, new one. All right, we have the right pads, it looks like, so let's proceed. So clean off the pad holders. Just wipe it down. If it's rusty, you're gonna have to either use a emery cloth, sandpaper, or wire brush. Nothing too crazy. We're from California, so we don't worry about too much rust around here. All right, got some gravy. Love gravy. So gotta prep the brake pads, apply some, Honda calls this Molly Coat. Black lubricant type paste. It's actually a paste because when it dries up, it's not liquidy anymore. It helps with vibration. Helps absorb vibration from the pad. So the outer pads just uses one shim, and the inner pads uses 2 shims. And the way it goes on this one, the black one goes ahead before the chromey ones or the shiny ones. You put Molly Coat on here, so the inner ones are the ones with the sensors. All right, our pads are ready for installation. Before we do that, gonna compress the caliper, clean the caliper pins, and lube them. So when compressing the caliper pistons back in, there's many ways to do it. You could use a C-clamp, you could use this lockjaw plier, aka channel lock, or you could use this little fancy prima donna tool. Sometimes I like using the prima donna tool. Either or, whatever it takes to put the piston back in. Whatever you do, if you're using the caliper, or excuse me, channel locks, lockjaw pliers, try not to go to town because I've heard you could blow out the seal on the master cylinder, so you definitely don't want to do that. Otherwise you'd probably have to replace it. So anyway, another thing I should mention, you got to check the brake fluid reservoir, because if someone, whoever did an oil change or some of those quickie lube places, they like topping off, the fluid level is an indicator of brake pad wear or a problem in the system. So you always want to make sure it's not overfilled, otherwise when you push this back in, you're gonna have a mess. Matter of fact, let's go check it out. So yeah, it's not extremely full, so we could actually compress one side, but it'll probably fill up, so we're gonna have to take some fluid out when we compress the other side. Also, I just thought of this. It might be a good idea to take off the cap, which I did right now for the master cylinder. So that way, you know, kind of lighten up the pressure in there when compressing this. But that's just me. But yeah, this is how you do it. I actually have a better caliper tool that pushes in the piston, but it's not with me right now. You may have seen it in one of the videos where I was working on one of the homies' Lexus. Wipe off this old grease from this pin. I'm gonna pull this pin out right here. Pull it out, wipe it off, put new grease on it. The grease I like using is some silicone paste, available at CarQuest Auto Parts. So you just wipe that off, lubricate. There we go. And then with that, gotta wipe this off. So notice this has little bushing in here, little rubber. Sometimes that swells up if the wrong caliper grease is used. So you try to stay away from petroleum-based grease, because petroleum will make this swell up. And when that swells up, it likes to get stuck in here, and the pin won't be able to move freely. And sometimes it actually wants to push out, and then that'll cause uneven brake pad wear, and you don't want that. Okay, lubricated the top pin as well. Brake pads ready to go in. Got to come in at a little 45-degree angle. Same with the front pads. Come in at 45-degree angle. Voila! Y'all got it. Put the caliper back on. And then be careful when you're putting this back, because you got brake dust on top of the caliper. You don't want it going in the pins, because you just don't want it getting in there and, you know, mixing up with the grease. And then make sure you take out the air from the boot, because yeah, if you have air in there, it could expand and all that, and you just don't want that. You're gonna get the air out of there. Put the lower bolt back on. Make sure it's tight. So at times, the caliper pin wants to spin when you're tightening up the bolt. So when that happens, let me get the right wrench. So be sure you watch it so you know, because otherwise the bolt didn't really get tight. So that's it for the front pads. My aunt's not experiencing any brake shake, so I told her we're not going to worry about rotors right now. We could have resurfaced it, but she's fine. She'll be okay with brake pads. So same thing with the other side, just, you know, the opposite side. Cool, just about done with this. Yeah, so as I was saying, see how the reservoir is now filled to the top? We're gonna have to take the fluid out. Well, might as well clean out the reservoir, because that looks pretty dirty. Otherwise, we'd make a mess if we didn't clean it out, or take out the excess brake fluid. Yep, so before starting to compress the other side, go ahead and take some of this out. Give us some room. Good to go. All right, brake fluid changed from the reservoir. Tires are slightly zapped on. The most important thing of a brake job, make sure you pump the brakes afterwards. Why? Because that void, when you push the caliper piston in, needs to be met. So if you don't pump it and you back out and you try to hit brakes, you're not going to have brakes immediately until that caliper piston meets really flush with the brake pad, then you don't want to back up into anything. You know what I mean? So pump them brakes. Like Snoop Dogg said, pump your brakes. So car is not yet leveled. It's a little bit on the overfilled side, but I haven't started the car yet. So I'm gonna start the car and then make sure there's no leaks. Torque the wheels to 80 foot-pounds. Oops. I want to do it like that. There you go, nice and slow. Not too fast, because you'll actually over-torque it, but just so you know. 80 pounds all around. Same with the other side. Let's go. Double check, triple check. All right, the car's been idling for a good 5 to 10 minutes. Shut the car off, check the brake fluid, check the oil level. We already checked the brake fluid. Okay, don't go to town on it. You kind of have to let it do its thing. There you go. All right, we are good to go. Take apart her remote. She said it wasn't working, so I'd start with the battery, of course, and if not, you might need to get a new remote. So the battery it takes is CR1616. Try to get a battery for that remote for the RDX, but apparently Target doesn't have it as well, so gotta check out. Oh, O'Reilly Auto Parts. Free check engine light testing. Si habla español. All right, got the battery here at O'Reilly, and we gained a subscriber as well. All right, while the wifey is doing her girly stuff, me and baby girl hanging out in the car. About to work on this carne asada burrito real quick. Late lunch. Oh yeah. That's it. Wash it down with some Coke. Anyway, hope you guys had a good one. Please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace.